Good morning, everyone. Welcome you all to StarAgile's live virtual training on DevOps training. So today the presenter will be Mr. Chaitanya. So he is an international trainer with almost like 22 plus years of experience, and he has trained over like 5,000 plus professionals and delivered around 10,000 hours of training on various tools and technologies on DevOps. So without any further delay, I'll hand over the session to Mr. Chaitanya. So you can proceed with the training, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Manoj.
Yeah.
Okay. So team, first thing is want to confirm from everyone, have you all downloaded the content? It works, team. Please, it's a zip file. Still any challenges for anyone? No, all clear? Okay. So let's start now. So request everyone to, how we're going to do is, first I'll talk about what the course you're going to learn in brief. And then I'll talk about each and every module. I'm going to talk about what are the course and all the details. And I request everyone to ask me questions after every topic so that we have the flow. So request everyone to ask me questions. You can have your questions after one topic or subtopic. You can ask me all the questions and I will be able to answer. Preferred method, always first method, you want to always use the chat method. In case of very emergency, you can also use a hands option. You can raise your hands and you can answer your question. And anytime you could take a break. I mean, you're not informed that you're going for a break or stepping out, that's fine. You can go ahead. And we'll also have, and since we have 4 sessions, we'll have 1 or 2 breaks as required in between, 10 minutes, 15 minutes based on what you're doing it. So this is about the agenda about how we are going to learn. And any breaks, let's follow the specific timing. Let be back because we have lots of participants. I cannot make others wait for a longer time. So let's stick to the timings of login and as well as after the breaks. So now let me start. The first one is, this is your course brochure. I just want to check with this wherein you want to understand in very brief about what we're going to learn. This is the course we're talking about. Let me put on view read mode. So DevOps, you're going to learn in depth. So we'll start with DevOps essentials and then learn about your managing source code as a continuous development on Git and GitHub. Then we'll learn about build tools, that is specific in the Maven. We'll learn Docker here because Jenkins, I'll also be using Docker images. Hence, we'll first learn about Docker and containers, basics. Then we'll go on to Jenkins. We're going to deep dive into Jenkins. Then we'll do a continuous testing, then a deep dive into Docker, wherein we're going to learn about Dockerfile, Docker Compose, Docker Swarm, Docker networking, all those things. And then proceed on to Kubernetes, Chef for config management for Ansible, and monitoring using Nagios. Other tools are there. I will show you the details in the complete details, and then we'll talk about how you can move on to AWS DevOps. So this is one overview of AWS DevOps. So we have 36 hours of training. I think it is still June 5th. I will be doing it. Requisites, which is being given before. So basics of Linux knowledge very much required. Basics of web knowledge as well as basics Java would help you. Certification. So StarAgile would give you a certificate of completion of the course from StarAgile, which you get it once you complete the training. And you also need to complete a project and they would give you. So course is not for specific certification. This is more for knowledge. This course is not very specific to any certification. So using this knowledge, you can learn more and appear for any certifications as required. This course is not very specific to certification. And this is all this is about 36 hours, and you get in access to recorded trainings, and you also get in all these PDFs, all this thing for you. You will be using Amazon free account for the labs, and you can also contact StarAgile for any support. Support from my end would always be during the class service. Anytime support would be through StarAgile. This is what is the. I want to just summarize what we are going to learn. The detailed course content. So first, we start learning about what is DevOps, why DevOps, how Agile and DevOps goes together. And what is DevOps cycle, that is what is continuous, all those lifecycle development, integration, testing, what are those. We'll also briefly look about the various tools and DevOps market trends and the delivery pipeline, what is this, all those things we'll see for the DevOps. I also talk about basics of virtualization and cloud computing because you want to know that when you work on concepts on Dockers and Kubernetes. So I'll be also talking about these. So I want to confirm from your end, do we all have free AWS account created, everyone? Requisite was you need to. Are you all able to see the screen?
Bhushan here, so I do not have it created. So shall I create it right now?
Okay, please. That's fine. You can concentrate. I can do it now in the break also because today I don't think you're going to use today. Most probably tomorrow. Okay. So others, please ensure that you are done with creating your own AWS account and ensure that you're, for example, look into and check whether are you able to access your services. Any issues, please contact support and have it rectified before tomorrow at least. Module 2 is about your continuous development, in which you're going to learn about how to manage the source code, which is into your Git and GitHub. We'll learn about first what is version control system, very overview, and why do you want to use distributed version control system compared to central. We'll install Git and we will configure Git. We'll also look into various commands of Git, and we will also learn about GitHub, how to create repositories and how to add files, how to push files and branch, all these things are going to work. So we'll be doing these as your practicals. And next one, module 3 is on build tools. So we'll learn about what are the various build tools in the market. We'll learn more about Maven. So we'll start learning what is Maven, different plugins of Maven, what are the different project types or archetypes templates they have. We'll look into what is the syntax of a POM and how we can integrate with your SCM. So this, and we will see a simple example in your using Eclipse tool. We'll create a simple project and we'll see how Maven can resolve dependencies. See, Maven we are going to use later also. For example, when working Jenkins, we are going to work with Jenkins and Maven also. So in here, we're just going to understand how Maven works, install Maven, and see the POM file, do a simple project. We'll again use your POM files when you work with your Jenkins. Module 4 is into basics of containers and Dockers, in which you learn about how to difference between a container and a VM, and how to manage container using Docker, and how to install Docker, how to create your Docker hub, how to pull images, how to push images, all would be part of this. So you got a basic idea. So using this basic knowledge, we are going to start with Jenkins. So Jenkins is all about your CI/CD, in which you learn about what is CI, what is CD, how to install Jenkins, two options. We'll see install Jenkins using containers, as well as we'll also work on just creating on a VM on a Linux machines. I'll also show you in a brief about how to install on a Windows, but training is more specific, more on a Linux base we are going to work on. We'll learn on Jenkins architecture and Jenkins management, build pipeline. We'll also learn about master slave, all those things. We're going to do it in the labs. So we'll have different, I think at least 2 labs will do it for pipelines, one for declarative, other one for your build pipelines. We'll create a build using Jenkins from SCM, and we'll learn about how to integrate with, for example, with your Maven, how to install different options, all this on your practical. This is all on your Amazon EC2 instances. Module 6 is about your continuous testing. We'll first learn about what do you mean by continuous testing. We'll briefly learn about what is functional testing or non-functional testing, and which one you want to use. For example, we'll learn about how to use JUnit in your Eclipse, and we'll also work with Selenium, in which we'll see how to work with your Selenium. Modules, this for your web application functional test. Dockers, we'll deep dive into Dockers, in which we'll see some more commands. We'll also work on Docker files, wherein you can create own images. Docker Compose is for multi-container management. Docker networking and Docker Swarm is for orchestration. We'll do the labs for the same. Module 8 is into Kubernetes, which is an open source orchestration. So we'll learn about what is Kubernetes, difference between Kubernetes and Docker Swarm, architecture of Kubernetes, and how to install. We'll first look into how to use Minikube, and that's a minimal version. Then we'll learn about how to use your full version using kubeadm. We'll install on using ec2s, and we'll create pods and deployments using YAML files, selectors and labels, working with jobs, all these things. And hands-on includes all these things. So I'm very specific on hands-on in here because we need to understand that we have lots of participants and we also have a time constraint. As I talked about, this course is not very specific to any specific technology for certification. So I request everyone to follow the same as much as possible, wherein we can cover what has been agreed. Module 9 is into Chef, wherein you learn about why do you want to use configuration management. First, you understand about it, and Chef fundamentals. And we will not here going to work with your DSL. Okay, I think I already told in webinar, we're not going to go and do a DSL and modify the Ruby TS here. We are going to use a service called as AWS OpsWorks, wherein you have a Chef managed server. Using that, you will see how to deploy your applications across different EC2 instances automatically, how to manage them automatically. That's what we're going to see using AWS OpsWorks for Chef. And module 10 is into Ansible. This is your next tool for config management. We'll see difference between Ansible and Chef first of all. And we learn about the Ansible architecture, difference, the push mechanism for the components. We'll install Ansible and we'll write in playbooks. We'll work with different Ansible modules. We'll also create roles using Ansible 𝐘𝐿𝐴. So these are the practicals which are going to work on this. Module 11 is in Nagios, in which we are going to learn about how to use your Nagios, how to install plugins, objects, and what are the various options for alerts and notifications in your Nagios. And further, we'll also learn about some DevOps services, wherein you are going to learn about white cloud, all these things, and working with your CloudFormation and Terraform. Yeah, I think a few more you could be added. I think already informed them. For example, I think I'll talk about overview of ELK stack and also of SonarQube overview. The quality tools I think will also include as well as ELK. Those also be included apart from this. Am I clear? This is all about your course, which you're going to learn for the next 36 hours. Team, you might not be able to unmute yourself. You need to inform, raise your hand. StarAgile team is going to unmute yourself. So Abhishek, want to talk? Are you clear, team? Any questions? Now let's learn about the prerequisites for this training. This all has been shared with you also. So require admin access on your laptop or your desktop which you are using it. Okay. Preferably, I will prefer you can use a Windows. Can someone wants to talk with me? Kavita, any
Yeah,
question?
hi. This is Kavita, and I'm not able to download the day1.zip.
It works. Please try once more. It's working for everyone.
It's throwing an error with response. No such
Please
bucket.
try once more. No. Please see it. For example, let me show this. This is the link. I'm opening it here. Okay. Can you all see?
Yeah, for you it is doing. For me, it's throwing response error.
Okay, please check once more. Otherwise, you will download it.
Yeah.
StarAgile. Okay. So admin access is very much required. Okay. So you need to take care of that. Preferably, if you're using Linux or Mac, also I prefer you can spin up a Windows EC2 instance and use it. Windows is preferred. Internet access is required. RDP, PuTTY, and PuTTY-Gen tools. I'm going to talk about how to install these right now. Java also on a system, in case you're using, you might use Java. If you're using a Linux base, you want your SSH client. Docker toolbox, I think I'll talk about it later. Eclipse tool, this is optional one, so you can try to install. If not, you can also ignore it. Eclipse tool to be installed, and you need to have an AWS free account. Yeah. And how to install PuTTY and 𝐘𝐨𝐿. I've given the steps here. So can we install PuTTY and 𝐘𝐨𝐿 now, and any other tools? Do we have PuTTY and 𝐘𝐨𝐿 installed? Okay, I'll share the link once more. Okay, please give me a minute. I'll be back. Yes, what's your question? You can also ping also. Team, you can also ping me if you want to ask questions, unless they are very urgent. What's your question? You want to? Okay, Nagaraja. StarAgile?
Yes, sir.
Okay, people want to be unmuted. I think Nagaraja. I'm not able to unmute him. Nagaraja,
I'm just trying.
Okay.
So you can speak, Nagaraj.
Yeah, okay. Chaitanya, I have a Mac and I'm participating in this training through my Mac. So can I also use my Mac for the hands-on exercises? Hello? Am I audible?
Hey, hi. I think I already informed before. So preferably Windows. See, Mac, for example, the tools, for example, IDE tools, how are we going to use it? Eclipse tool. Hope you got it correct. Git and other things.
Okay.
So these are specific. So my request is you want to have at least a Windows VM either on your VirtualBox or on Amazon and use that and do the practicals.
Okay. So,
yeah.
But between Windows and Linux, which is preferable? Windows is preferable?
Yes, only for your Git and your Eclipse and Maven. After that, once you start your Dockers and Kubernetes, right? Those are more of only using your client tools, SSL client and PuTTY tools. Only for the second and third module, we'll have some challenges.
Okay, only for second and third module we need to use Windows, and for the rest I can continue to use my Mac.
Yes. For example, Dockers, all these things you can use it. I don't think any problem would be there for Dockers, Kubernetes. Yes, everything else you can use as long you have a proper client to log on to Linux and Windows on a Mac terminal. Okay, hope you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but so no, be clear because I need to borrow somebody my son's laptop. But
Okay, so if you have an option, if you have an option,
all the workshops I say so.
Yes. If you have an option, preferably let's use Windows for all the modules. Am I right? Am I clear?
Okay, so Windows for all the workshops.
Yes, for all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And how about this workshop? Today's session?
Today is more of introduction and Git. For Git is required. Let's see how much is good. Depends. I cannot exactly say it based on the time, But if you have an option for Windows, please do in this next break, you can switch out to Windows. Okay?
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, others? Rakesh? Okay, guys, other tools how to install, I'll talk about later. That's fine, Sankesh. I think you can go to putty.org and download it. I'll show you all of them. For the first module, nothing is required. Let's go ahead for the first module. Am I clear? Yes, Kavita? Kavita?
Yeah,
Yeah, any questions?
no, as of now.
So let's start, team. So first one is your introduction to DevOps, in which you'll first learn about what is it, and then we learn. So let's learn about what is DevOps. So what is Agile? Let's just in very brief about what is Agile. So as you see in this slide, you see that coding. Normally developers would do a coding and then the unit test.
Hello, Chaitanya? Chaitanya?
Yeah.
Hello, Chaitanya, are you able to hear me?
What's your name? Must tell your name, please. Yes, Rakesh.
Chaitanya, are you able to hear me?
It's breaking. Tell me.
Chaitanya, so in prerequisite, it was mentioned that Java. I'm Sai Rakesh here. Sai Rakesh.
That's fine. We'll come later.
Yes, in the prerequisite, it is mentioned that Java fundamentals are required. So, so I don't have any.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
All right.
Okay. That's fine now. Team, let us concentrate on the specific module, what we're talking about. Any other questions? Please hold on questions. Yes. Thank you. So developers will first create the code, and the next one is your testing team, the functional testing, then integrate the code to a central repository and build processes done. So developers, they do all this work, prepare the code, test it, integrate, build it, and do a performance test and release to different environments. This is about Agile. Just want to talk about Agile is all about how your application is released to production, starting from a test or dev, pre-prod, and then to prod using various methodologies. But in Agile, it is more of a software based. It was not much into deployment or not much of automation or not much wherein different teams used to interact very much. So this is where DevOps comes in, wherein the DevOps is working with Agile, still the practice of Agile is being followed. Along with that, more of automation. Okay. And more of collaboration between different teams. For example, developers, operations team, quality team, testing team, they are working together. And for example, like in Jenkins, you can have a complete build to be built, test, everything to be done together. So these were the changes which were brought in from DevOps and Docker's, Kubernetes, all these changes were there. So DevOps is all about how to work together. That is a culture, which also brought in new tools and more of a automation. So Agile and DevOps go together. So it's going to replace the non-human steps. So people are still learning about DevOps. So many people assume this is DevOps, this is DevOps. So let's understand and clear about what is DevOps, why DevOps, and where do you want to use DevOps from this module. So DevOps is not wherein you want developers, operations, other teams. You want them to work in silos. You want them to work together. That is a smooth collaboration between the various teams. It also includes other teams, for example, quality, other things you can include, but which only call DevOps. So you want them to work together. Together means that you want them to have a effective communication between them. So for example, let's consider that when any requirement comes from a sales team or any management team, it normally goes to a development team wherein they prepare the code and some decisions are taken by them. But they also need to involve operations team wherein once this is created, what type of server into which they have to be deployed. For example, the meeting, normally you call it as CMDB meeting or configuration management database. So during this time, you want to also have a collaboration with them wherein you call all the teams together and tell them this the application required. How can we go ahead? What type of tools are required? How are you going to test it? How are you going to deploy it? So this, like this, you need to have start conversation before you take a complete action. That is where you want to have a collaboration between the various teams. So for example, in here, code, build, and test down development team. But during these phases, you also need to give at least an idea about what is happening at your end, what do you think is going to happen, what type of service do you think is going to be used, and what type of test also be done sometimes by different teams. These all must be shared between the various teams. And these days, you see in companies that everyone is moving on to DevOps team, wherein they want one DevOps team and they want everyone to have knowledge of, for example, Git, GitHub, and Maven, everything. And you want them to be more knowledgeable, for example, in Docker. That vertically, they want to be strong in their specific stream, but horizontal knowledge of all the other types of DevOps is required. That is what is DevOps we're talking about in this. So once companies have started using it nowadays, once the companies start using it, they have found that there's minimal confusion between the various teams. And because of this less confusion, the time to make changes and release to production or any specific environment is faster. It improves the efficiency. And people are working together, so obviously production is going to increase and people are happy. And options more of versioning control, for example, Git and those things came much in after your DevOps mostly, correct? So before and all using SV and Git and all came later. So version control system, better method to work offline, share information, and making work quite easy by using containers and these things. So all this were brought in with DevOps. In brief, it has brought down the barrier between the various teams and they are able to work together in much more efficient manner. That is what DevOps has brought in the changes in various companies. So DevOps cycle starts from initial itself. It starts from pushing a code. For example, let's consider the developer creates a code on his system. For example, tools like you can use Eclipse tool like this. For example, you can use Eclipse tool using which he can create a code or any tools like this. And then he will fetch the changes. He'll again use later tools like Git tool. For example, use Git tools, okay, like this. And using these tools, he'll integrate to a common tool like GitHub. And from your central repository, you can define either a normal build with Maven or use Jenkins to do a build and test, and other things could be done. And later the deployment using your VMs or physical or to containers. And before it released to a functional test, it goes to pre-prod. So if people who are new to DevOps, they talk about pushing code is wherein people work to prepare the code using tools like this. So they use tools like this, your Eclipse tools. So using this, they write in the code. For example, they write in a code, a project, whatever they do, they go ahead and do some project and do the work. So this is how they write in the code. So they go inside this and write in the code. This is the first thing that. After this is done, it goes to your Git and GitHub and all those things. That is the second second one talking about vegetarians. So these are various tools they use. And before the release to production, you also would do a performance test. Performance test means, is this application going to work? For example, 100 users log into the application at once. Is the server stable? Would it be very slow or go down? Those things you do in your functional test. And in general, there are 4 types of environments used in companies. So you can also test, dev or QA, staging, and production. So you do not directly release to production. You test it, then dev or QA, they call it as pre-prod, staging, and then the prod. So these are 4 key things which works on in your companies when they release the applications to production. So for each of this, you have in some specific tools, and these are categorized into 5 categories. The first one is a continuous development, wherein software is developed continuously. That is, you work on Git and GitHub and those tools. Actually, those are continuous development. So we use continuous in here because, for example, you push it to the next stage, and if the next stage they get any error message, they'll again push back to the first stage, back to development itself. So till it is resolved properly in the same stage, it normally doesn't go out, and normally doesn't even go outside to production. It means that before it goes out of the release to custom production, no issues are going to come. For example, in testing, you do a reverse method wherein you just write in a simple code and then you test it to bucket all the options. That is called continuous. You keep on doing changes to ensure that's very, very stable. So continuous testing is all about how to find bugs. For example, unit test with software debugging, or you also do it for performance tests. Those are continuous testing. Integration is all about how you put in your code. Let's consider that you have a team of 10 people. They make changes and push it to a central repository. How this could integrate for next stage, and those things are your continuous integration, like how Jenkins works with your GitHub. Deployment is all about how it could be deployed once your build is done onto service. And monitoring is how it is going to get monitored once it is deployed. So let me show you the cycle also here. Just give me a minute. I think I'll share a few more. Sorry. One minute, sorry. Yeah, can you all see my screen? I missed this. I'll share you this one. This is what is, this is how it looks, your DevOps cycle. The first is a requirement given by the product owner. It goes to software development team. They prepare the code using various tools. And then you use tools like Git and GitHub to do a check-in. This is your integration like Jenkins, Bamboo, different tools are there. So either you can use a build tool or actually you can use Jenkins. And then it goes to deployment, in which you can use Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Dockers, and then your monitoring and operations. So this is the complete life cycle of DevOps. Okay, so let me take in questions here. Okay, so I see some people asking questions. Okay, Uttam Kumar, continuous integration means let's consider that you are committing the code, correct? Yes, you're committing the code to a central repository to all to integrate with multiple people. Yes, and it has to be ready for artifacts. Means your builds. Once you build it, those are saved in artifacts. Am I clear? Integration is all about how it could be taken automatically and do a build and test. Yes, DevOps is all about collaboration, various tools. There's nothing called Agile DevOps. DevOps is different. DevOps is the practices which you use along with Agile. DevOps is all about collaboration. Okay. So when we develop a new feature, do we build that automated scripts right away? It depends. Nagaraj, we still not come to that level. Can we ask these specific questions, talk about testing, please? Now we're just talking about what is DevOps. Can we have the questions specific to what topic you're talking about? You can ask me all the questions specific to those you can ask me. As of now, any questions on what is DevOps, why DevOps, and DevOps cycle? Are you clear? Okay, we're going to learn about everything, guys. Don't worry. You're going to learn about continuous testing, which you can ask all the questions. When you talk about Jenkins, you can post all the questions in integration, deployment, Docker, so you can post it. So business analyst you're talking about. BA means business analyst. Analyst is all depends. It depends on your use case. So normally business analyst is this one. This is your product owner. The first one. Yes, artifacts are the build outputs. Okay. Artifacts are the build outputs. So once you do a code, you compile it, right? You compile it and you get a report, the build report, that is called artifacts. DevOps is everything: process, methods, culture, tools, all the four. Okay. So DevOps is all about, let me put this in here. It is a process, you can call it as, tools, culture. All these are DevOps. It's not just a tools. DevOps tools, DevOps culture, DevOps processes, and practices also. Am I clear, Uttam? Okay, someone raising a hands. Who's that? Abhishek, did I answer your question? If you answer your questions, please raise your hands once more. Pallavi? Yes, Pallavi, what's your question?
Yeah, so Chaitanya, so sometimes when I wanted to ask question, I was not able to unmute. Sorry. So right now I am able to unmute. Thank you.
Yeah, what's your question? Okay. Sai?
Yeah. So there is a software check-in, right, in the DevOps lifecycle. So what is it nothing but unit testing, or what is it? Software check-in. No. What does that mean?
So once you create a code, correct, that has to be shared to your central repository, correct? So you have a code, correct? You work offline. Yeah. Correct. Example, you want to share it with others, correct? You add in a file in a Git, and then you put in your shared repository like a GitHub. That is where it's software checking. You push it from your local system. So like Git, I work in here. So I use the code. For example, I use these tools to create my code. Okay. Then what I do is it will be saved in some project folder on your system. Okay. Then I add that file. For example, I add a file in this. I have it committed locally. Okay. And once it is committed locally, how would I share? I push it to my common repository like GitHub. So I push it to something like GitHub. So from a local system, push to GitHub. That is where the Git and your GitHub is your software checking. Am I clear? So Git is your local, central is your GitHub. We're going to do that instead. Yeah. And then from your GitHub, your Jenkins could be integrated. It can be automatically built and tested. Okay. Thank you, Sai. Okay, team. So let me proceed. So different tools which are being used. There's still lots of tools are there. So there are some, I'm not sure, one or tools. I'll share these two things. I think I missed this. So you have lots of tools in the market. So as you see it here, you have lots of tools in the market. Lots of tools. So you have For example, your GitHub, Bamboo, then Travis, build tools, lots of tools are there. But predominantly, many people use Git, very famous Git and GitHub. Apart from this, you have TFS or Perfros, lots of tools are there. And similarly, for example, testing tools, your Selenium, JUnit, Basemeter. For every category, you have lots of tools as your test tools. And not only these 5 cycles, still there are lots of DevOps I talk about. For example, they're also using something like DevOps for even for continuous management I talk about, wherein they use tools like Jira. So continuous, again, lots of the continuous, they talk about continuous security also. But in general, these are 5 main cycles. So in your continuous release, it's all about, again, your deployment in which you can use Kubernetes, Puppet, all this you can use, or other release tools, local release tools you can use. And operations is more into, once it goes live, you can use any monitoring tools or local, like Amazon you can use, or Nagios you can use, Splunk tools you can use, lots of tools. So you have lots of tools, but we are going to learn only a few things. For example, this we're going to learn about Git and GitHub. In this, we're going to learn about Selenium and JUnit, and also a build tool here. In this, we learn about Kubernetes, Dockers. Then we learn about Chef, Ansible. In this, we learn about Nagios and brief about ELK. So we're going to cover almost all of them. If this is not required, all of the 5 cycles, we're going to talk about all of them. So the first one, which is a continuous development, is your Git and GitHub. Build and test tools like Ant, Gradle, Selenium, Load Swarm. And you have Jenkins, which we're going to deep dive into your CI tool. Config management tools includes Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and there you can also use Dockers and all for your deployment monitoring tools. So these are the important tools I'm talking about. So still you have lots of tools. Now let's learn and brief. So let me finish off all the 5 cycles and then take your questions. Okay, let me briefly talk about all the 5 cycles and take questions. What happens in continuous development? So as you see in the diagram, we are going to deep dive into it as of now. Let's consider, for example, this is my GitHub is a central repository. So you have an entire team, they would have, for example, let's consider one business team, they have in one account GitHub, and all of them would have in the latest code. So I can download it on my system, that is my Git. For example, on this, I can download it locally on my system, onto my system they're talking about, and I can work offline. And once I have done, I can push back to my, first I can commit to local, or then push it to my central repository. You can do that. So you first take it locally and you can work offline. That's the main advantage of using this. We're going to learn. So you can pull, push, add files, commit, all the operations you can do in your version control system. You still have lots of version control systems like TFS, Central is your SV and different tools, but you're going to learn about Git in detail, Git and GitHub. So once the development is done, once this, you can use testing tools like Selenium tools or JUnit tools, and you can also use like Basemeter, in which you can define test parameter setting that I want to do this test, is the input and output required. You can use individual tools. And instead of using tools separate, you can also use Jenkins, wherein I can have all this installed as a plugin in Jenkins, and I can easily work for a continuous delivery. So for example, in continuous delivery, I can even do automation of build, test, all these things, all this together. Either you can use individual tools or integrate your Jenkins. So as you see in here, Jenkins is your integration in which you can integrate starting from the main one is your SCM, for example, source code management. You can integrate with any other tools like Git, for example. Then you can integrate your build tools like Maven tools, testing tool, Ansible tool or Puppet or Chef, even those could be integrated. Docker also you can use integrated. Monitoring tools integrated. All this could be your integrated. But generally we'll talk about CI means is here. Your CI content integration more about this. It means that as soon as any code is updated in GitHub, for example, Jenkins can immediately build and test it. That's what continuous integration means. But apart from that, you can also integrate with other tools using various plugins. We're going to learn in deep about how your Jenkins work. Now, once your integration is done, build and test is done, for example, the next one is going to your deployment. So deployment means I want to build in a specific server. So you can do a manual deployment wherein you can get in those build files and go to the VM and do it. Instead of that, you can start using tools like Ansible, Chef, Puppet, Docker, which could make your work quite easy. So these tools, in brief, this works on master client architecture. For example, you would push in all the software into one master, and you would add in all the nodes. For example, I can have 10 or 100 systems plugged into one Chef server. And once they are in the cluster mode, automatically the nodes can fetch in the updates or packages from the server. That is how your Chef and Puppet works. Ansible is very similar, but in Ansible, the server is going to push in the packages or updates to the slave nodes. So it makes the work deployment easy, as well as you can also have a good health check of what is happening in the environment. That is where you want to use continuous deployment. And continuous monitoring tools includes like starting from monitoring tool and 𝐘𝐿, or lots of tools. We have even others included, but in general, any tools we can use monitoring, either integrated with the cloud or extended cloud. Any tools could be used for monitoring. Yeah. Okay. So any questions on these 5 cycles, you can ask me now. Sai, you have a question now again? Hi, Sai. Do you have a question or previous hands up?
Yeah, so my question was like you're saying for sharing the build access to the rest of the team, you're putting the code in a tool like a GitHub so that everybody can have access to the code that you have written as a developer, right?
Yes. It's
Yeah,
GitHub.
But there are few tools where I mean some cloud tools like your so Salesforce, ServiceNow. So these tools offer you something concept called what I can say. There is a concept where you name, yeah, it is called update set is what I know. So once you name an update set and you write your code, it is accessible to everyone in the team. I mean, whoever has access to that instance with some rights can access that code actually. So
yeah,
in those cases, your GitHub doesn't come into the picture, right?
Yes.
In those scenarios, how? Yeah, in those scenarios, how is your DevOps going to help?
So as a talk, okay. So did we understand? The first one is we are first going to learn only on premises, and the last will be on cloud. Are we clear? So when you take the modules in here, we are now just talking on premises, the basic one. We're not going to use any managed service of cloud as of now. And the last module would be on this. Yeah, hope you got it, right? We're just talking about without using any managed service of cloud, how does it work? Okay.
Okay, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem. Any other questions? Let me check here. So performance, what is the meaning of continuous development, testing, deployment? So I talked about Subramaniam. Continuous means, for example, development, you create your code and commit it, Jenkins takes, and it will do a build and test immediately. If there are any errors, it will again go back to development team. They need to make the changes. So this keeps on repeating in a cycle till it goes fine. For example, you do a performance testing at least 2 times, wherein you want to get equivalent reports. If not, you do again once more. That stability in each cycle is called as continuous. Am I clear? What do you mean directly here? What do you mean directly? Yes, early step. Yes, you're right. Early step. We don't wait it till it goes to the next stage. That is what, yes, you're right. Early stages, every stage itself. For example, commit immediately instead of waiting for the entire day, you can see the result immediately. Am I clear? Next one, Avinash, performance test. Yes, you're right. Avinash, the performance test also comes under, that's what I showed you in here. You're testing, this is your continuous performance test, for example, using a Blaze meter or J meter. Okay. Okay, team. Thank you. So now, I think you're getting a hang of what is DevOps and this. Now, we will see a simple use case where you think that it's very, very important. DevOps very important. So long time back, 2011. So Facebook wanted to bring in a new feature for customers, wherein they wanted something to click or something to happen. So they just released that feature, and because of some bug in it or not properly testing a performance test, whatever is it went down for a few minutes. And even a few minutes of such a big application which is used by lots of users is again a very concern for them. So what they started doing was they started, for example, you also know about something like a beta version. So they created a feature, what they wanted to give the users. And they had a very good cycle of deployment, testing. All those were done very rigorously onto them, onto that specific for a promotion users. Whereas, for example, let's consider that 100 users were able to use the feature. So for that 100 users, all those was tested, everything, any issues, all those changes was required. And they did all this properly, the testing, all those done. And then once the testing is done, again, QA, pre-prod, and then it was released to the public. So this type, we have lots of techniques like this. So this type of technique is called as dark launching technique, in which big companies uses, wherein they have in everything in the background. For example, in a deployment, you do a blue-green deployment, correct? When you do a switch over to from a pre-prod to a prod, something like this. So whatever in DevOps is all about, first one is early findings. The first thing you want to do it. Second one is you do not want any issues to be for customers once it's released, and hence you want to do all the steps as soon as possible before it's to production. The reason you would do a multi-stage environment. Third one is you want to have very good collaboration between different teams, and also have documentation, very important sometimes. Version control, what changes were done, who made the changes, all this falls under your DevOps principles. Yeah, so using DevOps principles, all the companies have got benefited these days a lot, and many companies are in the process of moving on to DevOps. That's what I think I was talking about, wherein people wanted companies that are looking on a DevOps team. Yes, so this is in brief about DevOps and the different cycles of DevOps, what are the different tools in each of them, and how each one works on a very high level, only on-premises. We're talking about on-premises means we're not using any managed services of cloud. For example, in Dockers, we have ECS and EKS. Using that, you can easily manage Dockers, but we're not talking about those right now. We're just talking about the basics concepts of your DevOps. Okay, so this is about the first module.